Welcome into the Jordy Culotta Show. Wave your hand out there, baby!
Shout out to the show.
She puts the pinky into the nostril. Man, look at that.
Healthy competition, there's nothing like it.
Y'all grow up. The line's wrapped around the stadium. Different strengths. I just lost a tooth.
It's going to be fun.
You know, we might have a story.
I love what you're doing.
Ogeron wants to take us fishing this afternoon.
Sharif, you play for the bad boys of the SEC, man. We don't apologize to anybody.
A lot of people are saying you're going to be wearing number 7.
I don't really know. I want to.
He look crazy, Bill. Good feet on the old man.
Definitely come back. I love.
We'll be right back with the Jordy Culotta Show. All right, welcome into a Friday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. As always, built and brought to you by RMB Builders. Rhett Bourgeois over at RMB Builders and his team can be found online at rmb-builders.com, and you can find always on Instagram at RMB Builders. Also, our phone lines brought to you by Southern Regional Medical Center. Remember, Southern Regional Medical Center, formerly Metropolitan Health Group, still same great services, same people. Charles Harvey, Jason Ramazan, and the crew over at Southern Regional Medical Center, bringing you our phone line every day. And speaking of Ramo, don't forget about Mr. Fun's Travel, putting together a great trip to Orlando, LSU, Florida State coming up, opening weekend of college football. First class travel, hotel accommodations, and if you need tickets as well, they can help you out over at Mr. Fun's Travel. Check them out at mrfunstravel.com. The phone line, as we said, Southern Regional Medical Center. We will talk to Chris Blair an hour from now. Blair up in Omaha, getting set for tomorrow's first action, or today's opening action of Omaha, but LSU will be featured tomorrow, and it looks like it might rain.
I heard that. I think it might.
Jay Johnson can't get away from it. We'll see what Chris Blair has learned as Coach Johnson's still tapping into his weather. People we'll find out more about it at 8 o'clock a.m. this morning. We got a text into Billy Embody. We can talk to you a little recruiting with Bill here. Obviously a huge time in recruiting. But Katie is here. Noah is back this week. Yay. Twice. Driving over here. The streets are safe. I asked Noah if he was a little weirded out by driving. He said he doesn't remember anything about the wreck, so it's all good. Yeah, Stewie is here as well on a Friday. Stewie, how are we? Have we got any contact with Lloyd? Has anybody made any contact with Lloyd?
I've seen his Instagram story. I've been keeping up with that.
So is he up? Should we drive? Should we just kind of like cold call him?
Like 4 hours ago, he had returned from Omaha. From where did they go? They went and picked up somebody at the airport.
From
Iowa. They had to drive back to Iowa. One of their guys got stuck there, and I think I heard him say that there were a couple of other LSU fans that were there that got stuck that they picked up and brought back to Omaha. Amazing. So like his last Instagram video was, I think, 4 hours ago.
3 hours ago.
So they definitely call him.
Yeah.
So they
He's got to be asleep.
So they've made wait, Katie.
You think
do
he's
you know
still
Lloyd?
up? Wait, what's the time difference there? Can we talk about that first?
Is it Eastern time?
Is it? What
Eastern.
is it? No, it's not. What the hell, Stewie? Come on.
No.
Give your diploma back.
I don't know where I'm going. Omaha is like
Nebraska.
Nebraska is. I don't know if that would be in the Central or the Eastern time zone.
It might be
no,
Central.
Stewie.
It might still
Wow,
be Central.
bad with geography. That would be like
It's
the
Central.
mountain time,
It's
right?
Central.
It's Central time.
Yeah. It must be like right on the line, right?
Stewie with the Eastern time.
Yeah, that was
That's a bad
amazing.
spot, Stewie.
I feel so much better about everything I've ever said now that you put that out there.
Eastern. Eesh.
Nebraska's like half and half.
Is Lloyd not picking up?
No, he didn't pick
Call
up.
him again.
Lloyd.
Make it seem like we've got an
he's
emergency.
passed
Turn down
out.
the music, Stewie,
Well, he was
please.
taking a shot at, 3 hours ago?
A shot of what?
Well, it was brown liquid.
Brown
Like a shot, like
a shot.
right.
Like
Or was
an
he getting?
alcohol shot.
Or was he taking a needle?
No, maybe, but he didn't put that on his Instagram video, luckily.
Bring in the sound while it's ringing, Stewie. I want to leave him a message.
Are you calling him from your phone?
Pick
Yes.
voice message
Oh,
system.
no.
3 1
Is he
8
Oh, yeah.
sending?
Put his number out there.
Oh my God, that would be amazing. That would be amazing.
We just did.
Record your message.
Really? The lady just said his number.
Oh my God, it did? I didn't put that.
Take notes. Everybody text Lloyd right
Oh
now.
my.
Lloyd,
Lloyd, wake up, you degenerate. We're trying to do a segment with you live on the air right now. Get up.
you bum.
I'm looking at your Instagram. You're taking shots. God knows what else is going on up there.
Lloyd, everyone has your number now. Abort. Abort.
No. Pay attention to all the text messages that are about to come through.
If you are satisfied with your message, press 1.
Yeah,
to
hit
listen
one,
to your
Stewie.
message, press 2. To send your message
all right, we'll
with
see if he
normal
calls
delivery,
Oh, this
press
is
1.
amazing.
To
I
send
can't
your
believe
message,
that.
Thank you. Your message has been sent.
I mean,
Goodbye.
I would kill y'all. I would kill y'all.
Yeah, I mean, you're the only one on this one that people would really care about.
people are going to blow Lloyd up and you know it.
Lloyd won't care, though.
No, he probably doesn't.
I
That's
mean,
going to be
He's
great.
gonna enjoy this.
That's going to be great.
Text Lloyd.
Yeah, everybody
Get the
text
number.
Lloyd.
Call Lloyd. Wake him up. He's got
He's got work to do.
LSU is facing off tomorrow, of course, versus Tennessee. Tigers will take on their SEC, not rivals, but counterparts, as they'll take on the Volunteers tomorrow. I heard Jay Johnson on Sirius XM. He was on with Hester and crew, and they were breaking down the lineup. And I got to be honest, I've never heard Jay Johnson kind of speak of his team the way that he was speaking of them. The Mikey interviews on Mic'd Up with Jared Mitchell and Mikey and even Lloyd are fantastic in the way that he's very relaxed. Like you can tell, like you're getting the real Jay Johnson, even in the year when he's all wound up and he's tight and you can still sense like you're getting him. The Monday interview this week on Mic'd Up, I thought was as good as you'll ever find. It was 30 minutes of just, unencumbered honesty from the coach. Yesterday on Sirius XM, he got going on his lineup, and you could really hear like just how much he loves this team, how much he is invested into this lineup, what he put in to build it, right? I was trying to find the right way to explain of just his attitude when explaining it yesterday. I had just never heard him in that realm kind of speaking about his team almost, like when you hear coaches speak about their teams, they're always protected. They're always guarded, right? Like I'm listening to Bill Walsh's book right now, which I would advise to anybody that is in a leadership position, like anybody that is if you're a parent, right? It doesn't have to be in business. It doesn't have to be Bill Walsh. The Score takes care of itself is a incredible book. And I am in like chapter 8 right now and just can't put it down because of, first off, the storytelling. I was telling Noah and Katie this morning and Stewie, like Bill Walsh invented the first 15 plays on offense. And like how he got there is a pretty cool story. The way that the West Coast offense was invented, working for Paul Brown, one of the inventors of football almost. One of the early guys in football and somebody that, had so much influence on the game. Bill Walsh was his offensive coordinator for a long time and working for him and, being Stanford's head coach. It's just a phenomenal book. I would recommend it to anybody out there who enjoys reading books on sports and storytelling and really, above all else, leadership. And Jay Johnson is the ultimate leader, right, at LSU. He is accountable to his program. He is obsessive about his program. And hearing him speak yesterday about his team, I just thought it was a very rare light to hear a coach at this time of the year speaking in the way he was about them, and then watching what he said at the College World Series press conference about he believes his team is playing the best that they've played all year right now. And kind of listening to the past week of media of Jay Johnson, Monday night on Matuk and Jared Mitchell show on Mic'd Up, Wednesday on Sirius XM, or Thursday on Sirius XM, and then Thursday night at the CWS presser. he's feeling his team right now. You know, like, I mean, this isn't coach speak. This isn't, trying to play games with your team through the media and fire them up for what you're saying publicly. I can just tell by the way he's carrying, like, his body language.
Right.
I mean, like, throughout the season, he seemed very coiled up. He seemed very tight. And I think, one of the reasons was he knew he had to get this team to the tournament. Like, you got to get to the national tournament. Yeah. You got to get to Omaha. And now that they're there, it really does feel like they're back to playing that style where they're not intimidated by anybody. They're not intimidated by any situations. It doesn't matter what the game calls for with a pitching spot. They're going to get themselves out of it, it kind of feels like. And then offensively is what he was talking about on Sirius XM. And, I mean, I'll just read some of the quotes, but it does it more justice if you hear his tone in the way that he's speaking about them and speaking about the lineup. He says there's a lot of things that go into it. You have to manage the value, I don't want to sound too moneyballish, but, run score versus run saved, who's the pitching matchup, who's the pitcher of the day, all of those types factor. It's more of a fly ball guy doing more defense in the outfield? Is it more of a ground ball guy? Do we need to do some things shifting our infield around? Somebody prefer throw? Like the things that he was breaking down, what he goes into putting his lineup, and then he started to get into the options of guys that he has. Everybody from Jared Jones to Josh Pearson, of Dylan Cruz, Tommy White, Trey Morgan, and everybody else. But to hear him speak about it was just refreshing, and from an LSU standpoint, motivational to think, man, hey, the leader of this thing is believing that they're about to pull this thing off, like publicly, right? Like, I mean, you rarely see that at this time of the year for a coach. Now, look, it could backfire, and you could go 2-Q, and this whole conversation means nothing. But for where LSU was for the consistent part of an 8-week stretch at the beginning of the year to where they were, the last 4.5 before they found it again to where they are now, the data really says they're more of the 8-week team than they were the trying to find their footing the last month of the year, the last month of the season, dealing with injuries and guys going. I mean, what was Cruz? Cruz went through a stretch where he was like 10 of 42. Yeah. I mean.
And you went through a stretch where you couldn't trust pitchers other than Paul Skenes or Ty Floyd, where if anybody else was on the mound, you had no confidence in winning that game.
It just, I think, look, Wake Forest and LSU have the only two teams that have been number one in the country this year. And Florida, to me, is a threat.
Right.
Right? When you looked at just them throughout the year. But LSU offensively, I remember believing at one point, they'll just outscore you. Right? Like, I mean, like, if you want to just get, right. I mean, it'd be 2019 football.
Yeah.
Like, we just get into a shootout, and you're not going to beat them. I mean, and when you have as many offensive threats as LSU does, you could hear Jay Johnson yesterday.
Right.
I mean, he's in a really good place. Like going in, like you could tell, like I'm sure he'd love to have Chase Shores, he'd love to have Garrett Edwards, but I mean, he loves where they're at now.
Right.
Right.
Whoever was standing in for Dustin and Danny this morning was talking about that because they interviewed Jay Johnson too, and they were saying, like, people don't even know. Like, the lineup is so amazing, but all people know are Paul Skenes, Dylan Cruz, right. Tommy White. But, like, there are so many others on there. I mean, it's like unbeatable. The list just goes on, and people only hear those top three over and over, but there are so many dogs.
Josh Pearson, to me, is the example.
Yeah, he's
right.
great.
Josh Pearson would probably be hitting 3rd or 5th for everybody in the league.
Right.
He's batting 9th for LSU and couldn't make it into the lineup for 7 weeks of the season. I mean, arguably, he was the best player in the regional. Outside of Cruz.
Since the postseasons began, he's been one of the best guys at the plate.
He's the 9-hole hitter. I mean.
Which is such a good feeling knowing he's going at bat. He's either going to almost get a hit or get walked every time. And so you have somebody on base regardless for Dylan Cruz every time he comes up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just the luxury. This is one of those teams I think you look back on and you're like, damn, I mean, Josh Pearson was the 9-hole that rarely played. Right. I mean, he went through a 7-8 week stretch in the season, and he wasn't hurt.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was just
Same thing with Cade Beloso and Hayden Travinsky. I mean, they didn't play all year. And out of nowhere, they get inserted. And now Hayden Travinsky is one of the best hitters in college of baseball.
I mean, he's definitely
wild.
It's just his numbers say it. I
Right.
mean, it's
So Skenes won the Dick Hauser Trophy. Y'all knew that. And then 3 Tigers were named first-team All-Americans. Dylan Cruz, Paul Skenes, and Tommy White. And Dylan Cruz was named Perfect Game National Player of the Year.
when do they name the Spikes Award winner?
I'm not sure.
The Golden Spikes Award winner. When do they name that? Because I'm pulling for Cruz, man.
Yeah.
I really
Yeah, I
am.
want-
I mean, I know that he's going to leave LSU with a ton of accolades and the 2-time SEC
June
Player of the
25th.
Year, June 25th. Where are we? About 10 days away.
Yeah.
So that's like, I guess that's after the tournament.
Yeah.
Because the championship game would be 2 weeks from Monday night. Is that right?
2 weeks from this coming Monday?
I
Right.
think so.
Is that right?
I think so.
And that would be like the third and final game, right? Or would that be like the
The
opening to the
last
3
day,
game?
it would be June 16th through either June 15th or 26th. So,
Wait,
June
what?
25th or 26th, you mean?
yeah, 25th
Okay.
or 26th.
Okay, so it starts today.
Yeah.
So it's a 10-day tournament.
Right.
Right. Do you know who the only one other LSU Tiger is that has won the Dick Hauser
Furnace.
Trophy? Yeah, that's right.
Big Ed. I thought Eddie had a great tweet about it, and something that man, it was good to see the kind of the history on display, and really the respect that Eddie Furnace still has for obviously LSU baseball and his time. I want to pull it up. I don't know if you can find it, but he tweeted it out last night. It was a great congratulatory tweet to Paul Skenes, and really what it meant to Eddie Furnace to be the last and only LSU baseball player in the history up until yesterday who had won that award, and Furnace really recognizing that through a great tweet and something. Here it is. And this is from @EddieFurnace, who is Dr. Eddie Furnace. As I reflect on my journey with LSU baseball, I can't help but think back at the moment in Omaha in 1998 when Coach Skip Bertman told me I was LSU's first recipient of the Dick Hauser Trophy. It was a moment of overwhelming gratitude and humility, as I was following in the footsteps of many greats who had donned the LSU uniform before me. Today, I feel a tremendous sense of pride as I watch history repeat itself after 25 years. Another Tiger has been selected for the prestigious honor. I would like to extend my heartfelt congratulations to Paul Skenes, the newest Dick Hauser winner, for incredible achievement. Your hard work, dedication, and talent have brought this honor back to our family at LSU. A big congratulations to Jay Johnson and the entire LSU baseball team for nurturing such talent and maintaining the high standards of excellence we have come to expect from our Tigers. And of course, none of this would be possible without the unwavering support of our fans. Your passion and loyalty are truly the backbone of the team. Let's celebrate the significant achievement together. Go Tigers. Great tweet yesterday by Dr. Eddie Furnace, the first to win the Dick Hauser Trophy back in the 90s, and now Paul Skenes gets that award here in 2023. And Skenes has a real opportunity, man, to leave here as one of the most decorated LSU baseball players of all time if he does take home this Golden Spikes Award, which at this point he would seem like the odds-on favorite with being named the Collegiate Baseball's National Player of the Year, taking home the Hauser Award yesterday, and then being a finalist for the Golden Spikes. If he was able to win that award and have all on the trophy case like that, I mean, that's a Burrow type season where, I mean, you've got every piece of hardware that means anything in the sport, you've got it on your trophy shelf. So what a year this has been for both LSU baseball and Paul Skenes being connected because of just how it's worked out, man. I mean, Skenes coming down here and really taking his talent to that next level, and, LSU really, supplying the ability to do that, but also, having the best pitcher in the country, right, for it. I mean, having the top ace in the game in Paul Skenes. I still imagine that he'll go tomorrow. Obviously, you got to watch this weather, and we'll talk to Chris Blair about it coming up here at 8 o'clock this morning.
Do
How
the coaches have
annoying.
any say so in that at all?
I don't know at
Like-
the national tournament if they do. Like
Okay.
last weekend, obviously when LSU was hosting Kentucky and the NCAA rep was here, he's got the final say so, the NCAA voice. But I
Right,
mean,
but Jay Johnson was the one who started it,
the more you hear about last weekend, I mean, a lot of that
Yeah.
was Jay Johnson.
Exactly.
I doubt.
Surely not, right?
I don't think that he can, say, hey, look, we're not playing this game until we got a window of 9 innings.
Or like, does it take both coaches to agree on that? Like, I still feel like it has to be out of their hands, right, at this point, at this tournament.
I would think so. I don't know that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that for sure, but I would definitely think that it's not their call. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, I mean,
Can't be.
that
That would be wild.
That would be nuts. That would be nuts. No, we're good. We're not going to play.
I know, right?
So, I mean, we'll see. But I can't see a scenario where if everything works out from, a weather standpoint that Paul Skenes does not go versus Tennessee.
Yeah.
Who's tonight?
Today is Oral Roberts
Okay.
and Virginia. I don't want
Is that who it is?
I don't want to
Okay.
speak out of turn.
Not Wake Forest.
No, Wake Forest.
Oral Roberts versus TCU at 1. Virginia versus Florida at 6.
Okay.
2 good games.
2 good games.
I mean, really, the one thing that I think this tournament does maybe as good as any, the NCAA tournament does it as well. This tournament, I think, finds the best 8 teams. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Oral Roberts is Cinderella. No, they're not. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
if you watched Oral Roberts, they went into Eugene and smacked Oregon. Like, that was no fluke.
Yeah.
I mean, their regional run, maybe they're playing right at the right time. There may be points in the season where you looked at Oral Roberts and thought, it's not a tournament team. Right? But they had the potential to be. I just think that this tournament does a tremendous job. You're playing in series. You maybe
Right.
get lucky and beat one team one night.
Right.
But if you beat a team 2 out of 3, to me, you're the better team.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, like, it just – Tennessee.
Yeah.
You look at Tennessee. Tennessee's had their backs up against the wall countless times here over the last couple of weeks, and they have fought their way out of it. That Clemson regional where they're down to their 3rd strike, they're on a 2-strike count, down by 2, and the Cat knocks it out of the yard, a 2-run bomb, and ties it up in the bottom of the 9th, top of the 9th, and they're able to hang on. They actually took the lead, and Clemson tied it in the bottom of the 9th and went into extra innings, and they fought through and won the game in extra innings, and then went down to Hattiesburg. And, it's not as if it's just they were the better team.
Right.
I mean, they have found the top 8 teams in the country, and I think that's what's so intriguing about, Omaha always is that it's the majority of the time it's really good games.
Right.
Because you've got really equal teams
It's
on
such a fight.
equal ground. Yeah, I mean, it's a great tournament.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
the NCAA men's basketball tournament is the same way, but it's, you can have those fluke wins where, one team's best players just can't make a shot, so there's an upset. It's not It's not a 2-3 game series, 2 out of 3 where you get beat twice. You can't
Right.
really say, we just had an off game.
NBA final, NBA
Right.
playoffs. You find out there's no fluke.
Right.
Right. Like, I mean, like, you're not gonna happily like beat somebody 4 times.
Right.
Like, I mean, like, you're the better team.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if you can beat somebody, especially when at that level, you got to imagine the level. Even at this level, the level of scouting that goes in to every single movement that happens on either side, and how they recognize play calls, what they're going. So if you can beat a team 4 times at scouting you like that, you to me are
Right.
you're the better team, and that's what I think this tournament does a tremendous job of, is just finding the best 8 teams to figure out who the national champ is.
And you never know, like, I mean, I feel like you always guess wrong who it's going to be. Like, it's such a weird tournament. And did y'all know that the number 1 seed has only taken the trophy once? Since
99, right?
Yeah, since they expanded in 99. That's weird.
Yeah, you don't want that 1 seed.
I know.
Like, you don't. This is a tournament where you don't want the 1 seed, and I think that goes into what we just talked about.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
You know what I mean, like,
It
it doesn't.
doesn't.
It doesn't matter who the 1 seed is.
Uh-uh.
I mean, it's a wacky tournament.
It
man.
is.
I mean, it is. It's a
fun.
crazy.
This
tournament.
is what I like watching baseball.
I'm telling you, my first. I don't know if I've told this, but I mean, the first time I went to Omaha, I remember like realizing that, like being like, every game's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, because the first time I went, my grandfather and I, we went for 2 weeks. We went for the whole thing. Like, I
That's
remember
so
being
fun.
there on opening night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it was
What a good trip.
unbelievable. It was an incredible trip, looking back on it. But like, even as a kid, and I remember sitting in the bleach in like behind home plate, like we had great seats for Long Beach State LSU, and that's when LSU was down in the 9th, and Todd Walker stepped up and hit a rope at the second baseman, and the second baseman booted it, and Armando Rios like came across. I remember him coming across home plate, and he threw his helmet up in the air, and I remember thinking like, dude, every game gets better.
Right.
Like, I mean, like, this is incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
like, you just stay there all day. You're eating snowballs and hot dogs. You know what I mean? Like, it's hot. It's kind of like Louisiana. It's hot. It
Is it?
rains. It's hot. It rains. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it was just a great trip. And then if you are supporting LSU, like the whole, you know, it's Louisiana North.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
the whole thing is purple and gold, especially when we were there early. It's like the early 90s when, you know, Skip was just putting it together. But now on the 19th trip, I mean, like, they're just running around town like it's Denham Springs.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, they know the spot. So
Yeah, they run that town now.
it's a great trip, man. In fact, my childhood good friend yesterday told me he was bringing his 2 sons. They were going to leave on Sunday and go watch the week. And I told him, I was like, man, do it. Incredible trip. So if you're going to Omaha, good on you, man. It's a great trip, especially when LSU's there. Remember Daily, we're brought to you by Katie's Restaurant. Katie's is located down on Iberville Street in New Orleans. Was there earlier this week. It was packed as always. Been around since 1984. Scotty Craig and the crew. Get in touch with them online at katiesinmidcity.com. katiesinmidcity.com. They got a fantastic menu to choose from. All the New Orleans favorites and some of the St. Louis style pizza you can choose from. Fresh always on the menu. Cold beer. Get in touch with them online, katiesinmidcity.com. It is katiesinmidcity.com, located on Iberville Street. So stop in and see them down there today and tell them you heard it here on the Jordy Culotta Show. LSU tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. We will talk to Chris Blair at 8 a.m. this morning, coming in for a report on what's going on with LSU up in Omaha. We'll talk to him about what he feels is going on with his team as they feel going into tomorrow night. So we'll ask him to get his pulse on it as well. We're also hoping to talk to Billy Embody, who is a recruiting expert with On3, to see if we can't get his thoughts on some of the targets that LSU has coming in this weekend on another huge official visiting weekend for the Tigers. They picked up another commitment yesterday by a cornerback, a 4-star cornerback that's got a really incredible recruiting story. Rarely do you see these things publicly. These things happen all the time, but I thought the story was told really elegantly yesterday. What was the account, Stewie? Because it didn't come from LSU football. It seemed like it was a recruiting site. I want to make sure and give proper to this, but it was a story that came out about how Andre Evans received his LSU offer, and man, it was a cool story, right? And it was a story with Will Redmond, who is one of the recruiting personnel guys in the recruiting department sitting down with Evans and explaining to him what he had to accomplish to get an LSU offer, and that he was, not at that point when they first had a conversation, and what he had accomplished, by this summer, really laid out that opportunity for him to get the LSU offer, and he picked it up and he committed on the spot. And he's the latest to commit to LSU, as they have been on a recruiting heater here for the past couple of weeks, as they pick up another 4-star commitment. Andre Evans is out of Nashville. He went public with the decision on Thursday. He's got offers from LSU, Georgia, and Alabama in the month of June. The Nashville cornerback shut things down and got on board with the Tigers. As he said, he is 100% going to LSU, and he is the number 1 recruit in the state of Tennessee. This is how you win. This is how you win championships, when you go into contenders' backyards and take their number 1 recruit. And I am hearing really incredible things about what's going on with the linebacker over in Alabama. Is it Sterling Dixon? I think it's Sterling Dixon is his name. Check that for me. But
That's his name.
Is it? Yeah, Sterling Dixon, the 4-star linebacker out of Mobile, who has been committed to Alabama for over 5 months, and is really trending towards LSU. I mean, it's been a minute since LSU has flipped commits from Alabama to Baton Rouge. It's been a minute since LSU went into a contender's backyard and took their number 1 player. When LSU went into Tennessee and took Jacob Phillips in 2017, Tennessee wasn't Tennessee. Tennessee is a contender now. Tennessee is someone that is throwing around NIL money. Tennessee is someone right now that looks attractive to a lot of recruits. I'd imagine to a lot of in-state recruits as well. For LSU to dip into Tennessee and to snag Andre Evans, and Evans to be as – look, I know recruiting is it's a volatile trade. You're here today, you're gone tomorrow. But reading into what this commitment and offer from LSU meant to Evans, man, I mean, for him to commit, he could go anywhere he wants. He's got Georgia, Alabama on the table. I mean, and the story of him wanting the LSU offer, getting the LSU offer, pledging to the LSU offer, and saying it's over after the LSU commitment is a great sign. Another sign is that JoJo Stone came out yesterday, one of the top recruits in the state of Georgia, and said he's done. He'll be in Baton Rouge officially this weekend. Stone committed to LSU and has been since last July. Been a lot of questions on Stone whether or not he was going to stick with it. He made visits earlier this month to places like Central Florida, Louisville. He was going to make it official to Texas this weekend. He canceled that, shut it down. Said he's sticking with his commitment to LSU, and he's going to be in Baton Rouge this weekend. Not only is the staff cleaning up in the state, and I really do believe that you're going to look up and all of the top 10 players in the state of Louisiana are going to be committed to LSU this season, which is it sounds like that's pretty easy to do. Rarely does that happen. And I'm talking, it's not like you miss the majority of them, but you may miss 1 or 2 every year. And guys that are going to like Georgia, Alabama, and Texas A&M. So you're missing them to your, schools you have to play. It looks as if LSU is going to wrap up 10 out of the top 10 in the state and be peppered throughout the top 20. And really, from a national footprint, once again, like going into places and just robbing people. I mean, think about if you're a Tennessee fan this morning and Andre Evans is going to LSU. I mean, this isn't Jacob Phillips' Tennessee. When you were able to go into Tennessee and get Jacob Phillips at that time, it wasn't as if you were recruiting against the monster that Tennessee was growing into, like they are now. Heupel's the right guy. They found the coach. They've hit a bit of a recruiting, patch where they're having some success. They've got boosters and money behind the program that they're throwing money around. I mean, the quarterback that they brought in this class, they're paying him $8 million. $8 million. Hell, I'd be pissed off if somebody was paying LSU's quarterback $8 million. I mean, go get some defensive tackles and some DBs too with all that money. But I mean, just shows you the level of commitment that Tennessee has made to the football program. I don't think anybody expected to miss the number one player in the state if they're paying the quarterback $8 million. Just a really another positive sign for LSU. Some other guys coming in this weekend include, like we said, JoJo Stone. They've got C.J. Jackson coming in, who's out of Tucker, Georgia. He's a 4-star defensive end, a top 3, an on-3, top 100 prospect. He's got LSU predictions lined up. They've got another 4-star cornerback coming in from Georgia and Jalen Crawford this weekend. Connor Gilbreth, the JUCO tight end, which many believe trending towards LSU. They've also got a big-time quarterback coming in again this weekend as Joe Sloan continues to bring in the future of that position. 5-star Bryce Underwood, who is ranked number 1 overall prospect in the class of 25, will be at LSU. LSU will also host 4-star quarterback Carter Smith, who's the number 3 quarterback in the recruiting of 2025 cycle. And then the 2026 top quarterback, Jared Curtis, will be on campus as well. So that lineage of quarterback, that line of quarterback for LSU really starting to stack up. I mean, we've talked about it. This is the Burrow effect, really. I mean, Burrow was able to make the position attractive. You have to recall, I mean, what LSU's quarterback position in recruiting was like the Ice Ages. I mean, it was recruited and talked about by other coaches, like laughed at in the living rooms.
Before Burrow?
Absolutely.
Really?
Why would you go? I mean, like they would just go down the list.
Really?
Stop me when I get to a pro. Jordan Jefferson, Zach Mettenberger, Anthony Jennings.
Okay.
Stop me when I get to any development. Stop me when I get to anybody that has made an impact. And let me tell you, and then they'll get into this. Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham, Jeremy Hill, all these guys that have run through there that they don't have a quarterback.
That's weird. I never thought about that.
I mean, it was a graveyard.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It was a
How can that be?
Les Miles.
Oh.
He just wanted to hand the ball off.
What do you mean? How could that be? The ghost of Leslie that haunted this place until Burrow showed up and just exorcised all the demons of that idiot. Finally, just got all of just the rust and decay and mold of that hat out of the spot.
Man.
Just get the hell out of here, man. You and your perverted mind. Get the hell out of here. I mean, just it was a funk that LSU was never going to be able to beat unless you got a godsend of a quarterback.
And they did.
The only way you can get out of the dark ages of what Leslie Miles has put you in is I've got to send you the next edition of Tom Brady. I'm sending you the 22-year-old edition of Tom Brady.
Right.
You're welcome. Even a guy like Ogeron can't screw this up. You know what I mean? And then so people are like, well, damn, look at Burrow. I want those numbers. If Joe Brady stays on staff for LSU, they get Caleb Williams. I remember, I've got video on my phone of Caleb Williams on his official visit because I was just in the building that day, was talking and was with Stringfellow. We walk into the weight room. Caleb Williams and his dad are standing there with Joe Brady and who was the guy that was always behind Ogeron? He's still there. He went to Baylor with Dave Aranda for a year as the wide receivers coach, and Aranda told him it wasn't working out. Now he's back at LSU. He was the quarterback's coach for Joe Burrow. He was the quarterback's coach. I'm looking at him. He's got the glasses.
I can't think of his name.
Him?
Munoz.
Munoz. Munoz. Munoz and Joe Brady are standing in the weight room with Caleb Williams and Caleb Williams' father. And, I mean, Caleb Williams' dad, the way he's talking at this point, it's all LSU. Like, I'm telling you, it was all LSU. Now, 3.5 weeks later, Brady's gone. He's gone to Carolina, and it's over. Like, he's not coming. But, I mean, the Joe Brady effect as well as the Joe Burrow effect of what it had on that position was making LSU attractive to everybody. The best player in that cycle, Caleb Williams, was going to come to LSU if Brady stayed. I'm telling you, like, it was obvious that he was in love with LSU, Brady, and what Burrow was doing. I mean, like, Burrow is rewriting the record books in college football, and he's doing it with an offense that looks like the New Orleans Saints. Right? So everybody's like, well, I want to go there. And then they're like hosting big-time quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Like, next thing you know, like, Garrett Nussmeier's like, I'm going on an official to LSU.
Right.
And, like, as soon as he gets here, he pledges. And then he becomes, like, this recruiting, like, coordinator for the class. And you're like, wow, LSU started to get quarterbacks, right? And now you've got like a good problem where they have lined themselves up where every single year it feels like they're in the mix, where every year they're going to have 3 quarterbacks and they're going to lose one. Mm-hmm. Last year they lost Miles Brennan. This year they lost Walker Howard. Next year they may lose somebody else because the quarterback room is too crowded.
It doesn't even matter.
It's too crowded, right? I mean, you look down the line, you've got Colin Hurley committed. You've got a class coming in where Joe Sloan's bringing the 5-star kid from Bryce Underwood, Carter Smith, Jalen Curtis, Jared Curtis. I mean, the guys that are coming onto campus seeing what's going on, it's not as if the quarterback play has really fallen off a cliff since Burrow. I mean, they've been, it's not Burrow, but I mean, they've been able to sustain at least a reputation that, it's not 2015 LSU. I mean, it's not where you're coming here to hand the ball off. So, I mean, now it's an attractive place. And, oh, by the way, you've got freaks at wide receiver. Like you're throwing to first-round picks. So, I mean, like, if I'm Garrett Nussmeier, I'm looking at that 2024 schedule. I'm looking at the 2024 roster, and I'm saying, I'm not going anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere. Like, I'm going to be the quarterback when Oklahoma comes here. I'm going to be the quarterback when UCLA pulls into town. I'm going to be the quarterback when we go to Vegas and play USC.
Right.
All the while, I got Aaron Anderson a year older, Brian Thomas a year older,
Shelton Sampson a year older.
I mean, that's scary.
I mean, like,
But that's all
hey,
I really
Saban.
know.
Hell no, I'm not going. Right? I mean, but that's where LSU is now. I mean, like Ricky Collins.
Right.
I know.
I mean, Ricky Collins a decade ago at LSU. Ricky Collins 6 years ago at LSU is a savior.
Yeah.
Like, you're looking at Ricky Collins like, Rick, learn that playbook by August because you might be calling your own plays by November. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so now Ricky Collins is like, I could just sit here, and not that this is his mentality, but I hope it is. You know what I mean? You don't want to urge somebody to not be competitive, but you also want to say, be smart about your competition.
Sure.
Right? Like, hey, man, see it, look at it, learn it, make sure you can speak it, watch the people that do it the right way, stand on the white on the sideline up close to the field and see how fast it is. Understand when you step in there that you got an idea of what I'm getting myself into. LSU would ruin people because they would be like, get in there. And you'd be like, what? Like, right now? Like, yeah. Like, Jared Lee, you got to play. Like Jared Lee's playing against me a year ago. 5'8", 160 pounds. I mean, and you would they were just mentally broken.
I know, but this is like all I really know. I mean, as far as like really following LSU football, as we all know, like that started at like 2019 or right after. So to me, this is just like the norm to be stacked with quarterbacks. But so it's weird to hear that it was so terrible before.
Awful.
But who would you, if you had to pick a quarterback, that obviously doesn't compare to Burrow, but like your favorite or the best one before Burrow, who would that be? Like how far
Rohan.
back would you go? Yeah.
I mean,
it would go
far
back.
I mean, maybe, I guess Matt Flynn. I mean, Matt Flynn was the one that played the position at the highest level last. before Burrow.
Yeah.
I mean, he was one that you looked at, you were like, this guy can win a championship. Everybody sits in. I mean, Mettenberger had
Yeah.
a great year and a half at LSU. And really it was when Les got out of the way.
Yeah.
And Les, he got out of the way in the Alabama game his junior year is when Zach Mettenberger arrived at LSU. I mean,
So
he
what was the
was
shift? Like, what changed? With
somebody got to Les and was like, "Hey, man, do you finally want to beat this guy? Do you? I mean, because you can beat him. You've got what it takes. You've got the quarterback that can throw, and you've got Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham. These guys can't guard them. I mean, Jarvis Landry was toying with Deion Blue. I'm telling you, he was like, it was as if it was like watching a professional guard a high schooler. It really was. I mean, he was toying with him, and Mettenberger could make all the throws. Right? I mean, that second half of the Alabama game still gives me chills watching those out routes.
Was D. Milliner the other corner?
D. Milner was the other corner that
And
Odell
Odell
was eating up. Remember he made that catch on the
on the
sideline? He's like
sideline.
holding the ball away
Yes.
from him. I mean, he was like, I'm serious. He was like
was
playing
playing
with
with
him. And then it came down to a 3rd down and 8. And LSU had the ball inside Alabama territory, just inside Bama's territory. It was 3rd and 8, and Mettenberger had chopped up Alabama for about 45 minutes. He has been like a surgeon. I mean, he's like cutting them up like steak. I mean, just I want that, I want that, I want that. Anything he wanted, he was throwing. And 3rd and 8, and Miles runs toss dive into the line with Jeremy Hill, and they're sitting on a 4th down, and now they're thinking, what do we do? And then dumbass Miles Ways, his quarterback's the hottest player in the arena, takes the ball out of his hands, kicks a field goal, misses it. 3 plays later, they're beat.
Oh, God.
You know, I mean, it's like,
That's wild.
and then when they took the handcuffs off of him the next year, he was the best quarterback in the conference. I mean, and the quarterbacks in the league that year was Aaron Murray, A.J. McCarron, Zach Mettenberger. Who am I missing? The quarterbacks in the league that year were good quarterbacks in the league then. Who was Auburn's quarterback?
Was it Nick Marshall?
Nick Marshall? Yeah. I mean, like...
that would be like the year before they went to the national championship.
I mean, I remember going to SEC Media Days that year, and that's what they were marketing. They were marketing like the league of the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's what they were telling everybody. And Mettenberger was he was better than, I mean, he could move, but
Right.
he had a personnel around him where it fit him perfectly. Where, I mean, they would just put him in this deep shotgun, and he would take 2 steps and just whip it. I mean, wherever it needed to go, and he had wide receiver. It was the only year that LSU didn't have a defense. I mean, it was crazy.
That is wild.
But now they've got quarterbacks.
Yeah, they do.
You know, I mean, now they've got a line of quarterbacks coming in, and a recruiting sheet of quarterbacks coming in that, I mean, you're formidable every single year if you have that position. Like, that was the only position that LSU didn't have
That's
for
wild
so
to me.
long. That's
Yeah.
why Saban would be sitting on the other sideline, like, laughing at this
Right,
guy.
yeah.
You know, he'd be like, I mean, like, this guy thinks he's going to beat me with Anthony Jennings. You know what I mean? Like,
Danny
he
Etling.
thinks he's going to beat me with Danny Etling. You know what I mean? He's like, this poor son of a, I mean, just this idiot, moron. You know what I mean? Like, just taking everything that I just showed you, like, giving you the blueprint on this, and you've only got 1 championship to show for it? Give me my ring. You know what I mean? Like, I need my ring from that team.
Right.
It was, all right, so coming up here, we're going to talk to Chris Blair. Blair's going to be here shortly, and we'll talk LSU baseball, get back to it. What's the weather like in Omaha? What is his thoughts on Jay Johnson's mindset to the weather and to Omaha and finally being there? We will talk all about that with Chris Blair coming up. Don't forget, we're brought to you by RMB Builders. Check them out at rmb-builders.com. On Instagram at RMB Builders. We'll be back hour 2 next. Donaldsonville Glass and Body, the trusted name in frame, body, and automotive paint repair since 1977. They have served their customers for over 45 years. You can find them online at dgbauto.com or stop in and see them Railroad Avenue and Division Street out in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Look, they can help you with your insurance claims. They can make the repair process as stress-free as possible. I'm speaking from experience here. I've got numerous windshields, body repair, all done by Kenny and the crew over at Donaldsonville Glass and Body. They are, without question, the most well-equipped shop in the area. Stop in and see them today. Shop them online, dgbauto.com, or stop in and see the crew over in Division Street in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Donaldsonville Glass and Body. Hey fellas, it's Jordy Culotta for my friends over at Men's Total Health. Guys, do you suffer from fatigue, decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, weight gain or loss of muscle mass, signs of depression, anxiety, hair loss, mental fog, general loss of interest? Then you might be suffering from low testosterone. Go see my friend Mike Roach and his great team over at Men's Total Health, over in Metairie at menstotalhealth.net online. And stop in and see how they can change your life today. A simple shot and some knowledge from Mike Roach can get you back up, moving with your energy, get your sex drive back, build your muscle mass, make you feel young again. All online, menstotalhealth.net. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check them out online at redsticksports.biz.
We're all from different places and backgrounds. We've each experienced our own versions of life, but in the end, we're all on the same team. I'm part of that team, along with these players in purple and gold.
Kayshawn Buddha,
Malik Neighbors,
Miles Frazier,
Kyron Lacey,
Greg Brooks.
Whether on the field or in the courtroom, your team matters.
So join our team. Make a difference.
Bet. Let's get it done.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Here we go.
Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
Don't let the name fool you. Men's Total Health has offerings for the ladies, too. Guys, is your wife or partner suffering from urinary incontinence, low sexual desire, or pain during sex? Then the O-Shot might be for her. Don't let it scare you. It's totally natural. It's PRP. And Mike Roach and the crew at Men's Total Health
will make you as comfortable as you can be. Contact me for more information, Katie at jordyculotta.com, and I'm happy to tell you everything that Men's Total Health has to offer for the ladies.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go-Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
All right, welcome back here. Friday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show is always brought to you by R&B Builders. LSU in Omaha taking on Tennessee tomorrow night. There'll be game 4. Starts today. TCU will be taking on Oral Roberts, and then Florida and Virginia this afternoon. Wake Forest taking on Stanford tomorrow at 1 before LSU and LSU will meet up. Why am I forgetting who LSU's playing? Against Tennessee.
Wait, you can't forget
against
that.
Tennessee, I know.
Big
Against
Orange.
Tennessee against 6 o'clock tomorrow. And as always, on the LSU Sports Radio Network, Chris Blair will have the call for you. They'll be on the air at 5:30 pregame for you on the network, so make sure you're dialed in. But I'd imagine that a lot of people will be up in Omaha. Speaking of someone who is there, we'll patch in with Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers, as he is live in Omaha this morning. Chris, good morning. How are you?
Doing good, guys. Greetings from Omaha.
Absolutely. Are we going to have to weather watch tomorrow? That's some of the early signs here.
Yeah, apparently. I've been watching. It's amazing, the local news here in Omaha. It's 25 minutes of College World Series news and 5 minutes of weather. That's every channel. There's nothing else going on up here, and which is cool because, they're totally bought in on it. But, yeah, that's they're talking about, the first game today going to be clear, and then about a 20-30% chance of rain for the second game tonight, and then maybe touch and go tomorrow as far as weather is concerned. So we'll see.
Obviously, the play feels like it is to throw Paul Skenes tomorrow. That's what Jay Johnson has done here in both the regional and the super regional in game 1. But he had a lot of say-so on what happened there, and you're not saying it was his call, but it was just a couple of teams involved. How does this deal work? Do you understand how delays and suspensions will be called and how much input the coaches have?
No, everything, as you can imagine, really since we went to postseason mode, and you heard Jay talk about it, in the press conference prior to the regionals. Everything's going to be pretty much close to the vest. So, a lot of things that in speculation and who will do this and who will be there. And I think a lot of that's all going to be decided, literally as we get ready for each game. So I'm not expecting for, a ton of news or decisions to come out, as far as starts for game 1. The only thing I could go on is basically what you just pointed out, which is when you look at the precedent so far to get things started in each round of the postseason. He's gone with his, with Paul Skenes. And, to go back, Jordy, to about a month and a half ago, one of the last weekly radio shows, the last couple of SEC series, every team that faced LSU basically pitched off for game 1. They basically said, hey, we got no shot against Paul Skenes. If we can steal one, that's great. But we're gonna move our number 1 guy to game 2 or possibly even game 3. And I asked Jay Johnson about that. I said, hey, is there any advantage to even considering shuffling your lineup? And his answer was, hey, I tell our guys every time we play a game, it's a chance to pick up a win. We try to win every single game. And I was speaking out of both sides of my mouth. If I said to them, hey, we're not going to pitch our number one guy who's available for the first game of a series. So, again, like the weather, I think we'll all find out all those answers coming up tomorrow.
Skenes, another trophy for him as he takes home the 2023 Dick Hauser Trophy, the first since Eddie Furness did it back in the 90s. You've had a front row seat to every one of Skenes' starts and has seen every pitch he's thrown here this season. Man, Chris, he's got a real opportunity to leave as the most decorated LSU baseball player of all time. What have you seen from your point of view?
Yeah, I mean, he's just special. I mean, he's generational. I mean, you can go back and, LSU's had a ton of great pitchers, but, I remember you and I on the show there on the set talking in the early part of the baseball season that when you talk Paul Skenes with guys who've played for the program, played for Skip, played for Paul, people who have been around the program for decades, when they talk Paul Skenes, the other person they immediately link them to is Ben McDonald. And you don't hear that a lot. I mean, again, as I said, there's been some great pitchers come through and have gone on to great careers at the next level. But there's kind of always been this other area when you talk about, the numbers that Ben McDonald put up for good reason. And then Ben McDonald talks about Paul Skenes in the same sense of the type of numbers and impact that obviously Ben had on the program. And he's got a chance to chase Ben's record. It'll be tight. He'll have to be super efficient, and he'll have to be electric. But who would think he wouldn't be based on what he's done basically every outing he's taken to the mound? So, the winner of the Dick Hauser Award, I get asked a lot, who do you think is going to go first overall, Dylan Cruz or Paul Skenes? And I got to be honest with you. I mean, from my standpoint, if I'm in the front office and I've got to make decisions with millions of dollars and even more millions down the road, I'm looking for somebody who can give you some durability. So that's probably why I lean Dylan Cruz. But, there's got to be somebody in the front office somewhere going, hey, are you watching this guy pitch? Have you seen what he does? And he might be, pitching for us right now. So we'll see who goes first or second in the draft. I mean, again, it's a luxury to have that type of argument, to be honest with you. But him winning the Dick Hauser Award, I mean, they consider that the Heisman Trophy of college baseball. And it was an exciting time yesterday here at the hotel. They were getting ready, and he did all the live shots. It was announced on ESPN. It's great exposure for him, obviously, but great exposure for Coach Johnson and LSU. And, we got the Golden Spikes Award coming up, and, I think that ought to go to Dylan Cruz. So we'll see.
Chris Blair joining us from Omaha here on this Friday morning. Chris, you're a great resource for this as well because you talk to Coach weekly and you got a really good relationship with him. This week he has seemed just a little bit more loose, relaxed. Not that he is by any means, not as dialed in as he's been, but it was obvious that he wanted to get this program to Omaha, and this was a big step for him as the head coach. Is that a right read on him?
Yeah, I mean, I like the way you put that. He's as loose as you'll ever see Coach Johnson. Right. I mean, he's a pretty buttoned-up guy, and he's pretty locked in 24/7. But I liked what he said after the game this past Sunday, after the Tigers won the Super Regional. They asked him, what had he learned on his trips to Omaha, and the first thing out of his mouth was talking about how I understand now that you got to let the guys enjoy the moment. Obviously, it's a business trip. I mean, obviously, getting to Omaha is what he does every day of his life, trying to get LSU baseball. And that's what he's asked these players to do on this ride so far. And ultimately, the goal is to win a national title. But you can't do that if you don't get here to Omaha. And there's only 8 teams that get here, which is an incredible accomplishment. But I think he's learned now that if you add any more outside pressure, beyond the pressure that is just being here and playing in this field of 8, that's not a good thing. So I think he's letting the guys enjoy it a little bit. I've seen the itinerary. They obviously have workouts. They're doing a lot of the things, in fact, all of the things we do when we go on the road. But there's a few more blocks of time, at least since we arrived on Wednesday, that they get to have to themselves. And so I think that's a good thing. I mean, they've been allowed to kind of go on their own for lunch and dinner, to explore the city, because we're right here across from Charles Schwab Field. So I think he felt it was important to again let them enjoy this moment. And I'm sure starting today they'll start to lock in and stay tighter as they prepare for tomorrow's game. But that's what stood out to me. So I think he is the loose version of Jay Johnson, which again is not very loose. Absolutely. But so far everybody seemed to have a great time since we arrived.
What do you remember about the Tennessee series, and what do you expect tomorrow?
Well, the word is that we're probably going to see Andrew Lindsey, and right now, again, Tennessee coming into this year, while they lost some key pieces, I thought, offensively to last year's incredible regular season team, the pitching staff was kind of going to be their strength. And I think maybe it was surprising, Jordy, the early part of the year, that you knew they had talent. They just really wasn't translating to the games. They weren't as dominant, it didn't feel like, as they were last year with the same guys. But that's changed. That's the difference in a series that started in late March with Tennessee and the Tennessee team we'll see tomorrow night. And with Andrew Lindsey, he's got the best ERA on the team. I think sub-3, 2.79, if I remember right. We saw him out of the bullpen in game 2 of that series at the box. But he's probably, Dollander gets all of the obvious attention, but I think for the most part, right now Andrew Lindsey is probably playing the best or pitching the best. And to me, it's all about being able to hit the ball, get them on, get them over, and get them in. And that certainly is the case against Tennessee. So when people say to me, what do you think the key to this matchup in a one-game battle coming up Saturday, is being able to hit the baseball and being able to at least, if you can't hit Andrew Lindsey a lot, you got to get him out of the ball game and get to the bullpen, which is not an easy task. They're a very deep pitching staff. And you got Paul Skenes, again, who I assume will be starting. So to me, that's it. And LSU, I thought, for the most part overall in that 3-game series against Tennessee, albeit late March, early April, did a really good job of putting the bat on the ball, making some contact. Gavin Dugas that was one of his better series to me. That's kind of when he kind of emerged to be your leadoff guy. Mm-hmm. So I think it's I think I've told you 4 times this season that the Tennessee series to me is when I realized I think LSU's best bet is to be that powerful offense and to outscore people. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the case coming up tomorrow against the Volunteers.
Speaking of that offense, yesterday hearing Jay Johnson speak about it both on the CWS press conference and then he was on with Sirius XM with Hester and the guys, he was giddy in talking about like his offense. Rarely do you hear a head coach talk so openly, and usually you hear head coaches talk with like a sense of like protection, right? Like they're almost guarded when they talk. He was talking about the options and really the obviously the headliners, in Cruz and White and Morgan and the crew, but more of like Hayden Travinsky and Josh Pearson and what they mean to the lineup. What has been the key to getting this thing back up and moving at the clip it is right now, in your opinion?
I think it's the names you just mentioned. And I remember after the 14-0 game in the first game against Kentucky, one of the analysts, I think it was Rooney on ESPN, said, if you're looking for something to do, need to kill some time, why don't you try to find a hole in LSU's lineup, because there isn't one. And Jay mentioned it in his press conference, as you pointed out. This team, he feels like, is playing its best baseball. And you think about that early part of the SEC schedule when they opened at Texas A&M and they had Arkansas at home and then Tennessee at home and then South Carolina and then Kentucky. At that point, I thought, this team is playing about as good as you can ask. They were efficient at the plate. Obviously Paul Skenes set the tone on the weekend. Their defense was near the top, not only in the SEC but in the country. But Jay believes, and I do too, watching the last 5 games for this team, that they're playing their best baseball now. And Jay believes fundamentally that it's not the team with the best players, it's the team that's playing its best baseball right now. And he does, I think, is very confident in the way his guys came back from Hoover. They found a couple of answers, I feel like, out of the bullpen. They thought Thatcher Hurd really had turned the corner. So suddenly that makes this LSU team a lot different than maybe the one the last month of the regular season. And yeah, I think he's pretty confident in what he can do offensively. And you know what you're going to get in the front four. I mean, you got Dylan Cruz, who I think is the Golden Spikes Award winner. You got Tommy White, who is just incredible. He'll have his awards coming up next year, followed by Trey Morgan, who's a veteran Jedi Knight, knows how to handle the bat. And then Hayden Travinsky, who may be the hottest hitter over the last 15 or 16 games in all of college baseball. And then again, you follow it with either Gavin Dugas or Cade Belosa, who's got double-digit home runs, Braden Jobert, who's really come on strong over the last couple of weeks, Jordan Thompson, who I think is perfect in the 8-hole, and then to be able to add a guy like Josh Pearson, who, again, like Travinsky, we did not see the early part of the season. And we saw sparingly after the midway point of the SEC. I mean, Jay just feels like he's locked in. He's a guy that you can count on. He's got deceptive speed in the outfield, covers great real estate out there, does a great job at left or right, wherever you put him. I mean, it's a pretty daunting task. I mean, Wake Forest coming in number one. I guess some people thought they were the favorite, but when I watch LSU play baseball right now and the way they played offensively with their pitching staff and frankly defensively over the last 5 games, it's hard to find a better stretch this season where LSU had everything firing on all cylinders.
Has the purple and gold dump truck dumped all the fans in downtown Omaha off yet? Have you started to see it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They started to come in waves yesterday. In fact, I was walking to get my credentials and parking over at the stadium. Across the street is Rocco's, and I thought, all right, let's go see how the Jello shot battle's going. And it was already lopsided. It was already lopsided purple and gold. There were multiple tables filled with LSU fans in there, and I thought, yeah, this won't be a competition. And apparently the numbers are trending in LSU's favor. But and also on the local news last night at 10 o'clock, they were talking about that FanFest opens today officially around the stadium, and it opens at 11 a.m. this morning. The sports guy was live from Charles Schwab Field, and he said, by the way, if you want to come out to FanFest, make sure you get here early. The LSU fans are already here. They're tailgating on Thursday, and they don't play until Saturday night.
The only championship I'm not worried about winning is the Jello shot championship. I mean, LSU they're the 1 seed anytime. I mean, they're the 1 seed even if they're not in the field.
Hey, I tell you what, Jordy, what's surprising last night, the last tally I saw on social media had Oral Roberts trying to get into the game there. So we'll see. They still got a long way to go, but that was I don't know, a little surprising.
That is. It's a great trip, Chris. I know that you've been there, you've made it, but it's a fun trip, and hopefully LSU can get on a heater here and take it home. I don't know if you saw this though, but Vegas has Wake Forest at 23% chance odds, and LSU's nipping on their heels right there at 20%. So they obviously think they're one of the 2 best teams there. It's that side of the bracket, though, right? I mean, I think that they find the best 8 teams in Omaha. I think this is the best 8 from the season right now. But when you look at the brackets, the LSU Wake side is stacked, huh?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing you look at. I mean, and I think you're right. I think they found here in June of 2023, they found the 8 best teams in the country. And then you look at the bracket. And, Jay mentioned it before we, made our way up here to Omaha. He's like, look, right now we're concentrating on Tennessee. We're looking at the other side with obviously Stanford and Wake Forest. But he said we'll start worrying about that after whatever happens on Saturday night. And then after that, should they be fortunate enough, then they'll start to kind of scout that other side of the bracket. But again, it's the 8 best teams. They're going to have to continue to play their best baseball, but I like the Tigers' chances. And again, I don't have to tell anybody this watching or listening today, but if you haven't ever made it to the College World Series here in Omaha, it's about a 15, 16-hour drive, but I tell you, it's well worth it. So if you're on the fence trying to think about it, let me be the first to invite you to come up here. The downtown area, they do a tremendous job. You could just fall out of the sky and you would know that they're playing the College World Series if you landed here in Omaha. The city embraces it. I think it's the best event the NCAA puts on, and I'm not the biggest fan of the NCAA. And I've been pretty vocal about that. But they do this right. this thing they've got right. They've been doing it for, 55 years, but, I mean, they do know how to do this event.
Chris Blair, he's the voice of the Tigers, will be on the call tomorrow night for LSU Tennessee. 6 o'clock, first pitch here locally, which means you can hear the voice at 5:30 tomorrow. You and Doug on the call?
That'll be me, Doug, and Mr. LSU Baseball, Bill Franquez.
Oh, yeah. 3-man booth. We'll be tuned in. Chris Blair, have a great call, man. Thanks for this morning.
You got it, man. Go Tigers.
There he is. Chris Blair checking in from Omaha this morning. As always, we are brought to you by RMB Builders. Check them out at rmb-builders.com. rmb-builders.com. We'll be back for more of the show here, built by RMB.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Here you go.
Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
Don't let the name fool you. Men's Total Health has offerings for the ladies, too. Guys, is your wife or partner suffering from urinary incontinence, low sexual desire, or pain during sex? Then the O-Shot might be for her. Don't let it scare you. It's totally natural. It's PRP. And Mike Roach and the crew at Men's Total Health will make you as comfortable as you can be. Contact me for more information, Katie at JordyCulottaShow.com, and I'm happy to tell you everything that Men's Total Health has to offer for the ladies.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go-Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
Donaldsonville Glass and Body, the trusted name in frame, body, and automotive paint repair since 1977. They have served their customers for over 45 years. You can find them online at dgbauto.com or stop in and see them Railroad Avenue and Division Street out in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Look, they can help you with your insurance claims. They can make the repair process as stress-free as possible. I'm speaking from experience here. I've got numerous windshields, body repair, all done by Kenny and the crew over at Donaldsonville Glass and Body. They are, without question, the most well-equipped shop in the area. Stop in and see them today. Shop them online, dgbauto.com, or stop in and see the crew over in Division Street in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Donaldsonville Glass and Body. Hey fellas, it's Jordy Culotta for my friends over at Men's Total Health. Guys, do you suffer from fatigue, decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, weight gain or loss of muscle mass, signs of depression, anxiety, hair loss, mental fog, general loss of interest? Then you might be suffering from low testosterone. Go see my friend Mike Roach and his great team over at Men's Total Health over in Metairie at menstotalhealth.net online. And stop in and see how they can change your life today. A simple shot and some knowledge from Mike Roach can get you back up, moving with your energy, get your sex drive back, build your muscle mass, make you feel young again. All online, menstotalhealth.net. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
We're all from different places and backgrounds. We've each experienced our own versions of life, but in the end, we're all on the same team. I'm part of that team, along with these players in purple and gold.
Kayshawn Buddha,
Malik Neighbors,
Miles Frazier,
Kyron Lacy,
Greg Brooks.
Whether on the field or in the courtroom, your team matters.
So join our team. Make a difference.
Bet. Let's get it done.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
All right, welcome back here. Jordy Culotta Show, built by R&B Builders. Hopefully everybody's having a good start to your Friday. Thanks for starting with us. Make sure you don't mind. Hit that like button, share button, comment button. And if you've not subscribed, please hit that subscription button as we go into the weekend. LSU added a defender yesterday, or a shortstop yesterday from South Carolina, and Michael Braswell, a sophomore who is from Mableton, Georgia. Only hit .255 at the Gamecocks last season, but did have a .372 on-base percentage, 23 ribbies, and 1 home run. This seems like a defensive signing for LSU next year, just a little bit more depth within that infield. We talked a little bit in the break what the decision will be around Gavin Guidry next season, the true freshman out of Barb High School who has stepped in and become an integral piece of the pitching staff here, especially of late. And almost becoming the de facto closer for this team. It was surprising to see Guidry stay out there and close last weekend out versus Kentucky, but look, that moment was right for him. It wasn't too big. He has responded before that and continues to watch his confidence grow, but I do know that there at one point was a thought to make him a position player, an everyday player, where he was in the lineup. He's got a really good bat, good hand-eye, and I think maybe a potential shortstop for the program. And Jay Johnson adding a little bit more depth there earlier this week.
It would be interesting to see if, potentially Jay Johnson allows Gavin Guidry to be a two-way guy. Because obviously, Skenes had the potential to do that, but he, stuck him to just pitching to get the most out of him, which obviously worked. So, you never know if you'll actually see a two-way guy that can play, middle infield and be on the mound. But I would, go to say that Gavin Guidry ultimately becomes a shortstop at some point at LSU. This kind of pitching deal, I think, was just this year because of lack of depth.
Yeah, necessity.
Right.
I mean, they had to have him, and look, they still got to have him.
Right.
I mean, he's been great. It's interesting to see LSU still, it's crazy how the schedule works, right? You got your team in Omaha, you're getting them prepared there, you're recruiting as well.
Right.
Braswell's got a picture coming out. I mean, he was on a visit.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to handle that, you know what I mean? Right. Somebody's going to be talking to him and recruiting him. And, meanwhile, Jay Johnson's watching the weather and thinking about what he's going to do in the opening round versus Omaha. I mean, it is wild to think about what these schedules are for these coaches.
Right.
And look, by no means am I trying to throw a pity party for college coaches at all. I mean, and I know that that's a losing side of the argument, but they do make a ton of money. They do live a life that, a lot of us would look at and be like, well, I mean, is that even work? I mean, there's a ton of work that goes into it, a ton of work that goes into it. You miss so much time from your family and so much time away from, just kind of key moments in life. But, I mean, asking them to do the crossover work here of preparing your team to play and then having the responsibility of building next year's team,
Right.
It doesn't seem like it's the best way to manage the time. They can't delay this time period for another 2 weeks till the season's over, right? Or at least make it dead for I don't know how you handle it, right? Because, I mean, obviously this is the transfer portal. This isn't a high school student. But it's wild. I mean, talking to some college football coaches, I mean, I read last week, and look, this is Nick Saban's program, and it's a little bit of an outlier when you look at the responsibility and the task and the workload. But he had his assistant coaches working 325 days last year. I mean, like, they had 40 days off. 40 days off. I mean, all of them, or the majority of them, are dads. Majority of them are husbands. Majority of them have a life outside of Alabama football, believe it or not. They all make really good livings. They all have and need for just about nothing, right? I mean, they have everything they want. They need just about nothing. A lot of the things that they get, they really don't even have to pay for. They get a complimentary car. If you got a kid, you can send them to a local school tuition free. I mean, there's a lot of perks that go along with it. But the new schedule that has now been implemented, it just, I don't know how you do it. Like, I don't understand how it's physically possible to do both, no matter the pay scale. Like, I mean, you can pay me all the money in the world, but I can't be two places at one time. And if I really want to make sure that we're putting forward the best recruiting pitch, you want your full staff to be there, or you at least want the key parts to be there. I don't have the resolution. I mean, I'm coming and just kind of complaining, but I mean, a lot of this stuff seems like it's common sense. I mean, when you've got college football coaches preparing for bowls and hosting official visits, somebody's not like, this isn't the best resource of time management. Like, we've got a lot more opportunity to make this viable for everybody. Like, I mean, even if I was the parent, I would be thinking, this guy's not worried about my visit, right? I mean, like, he's worried about preparing for Ohio State, as he should be.
Just put it off for a week.
I mean, just make it a dead period during the bowls. Make it a dead period during, the national tournament of college baseball. Well, there's only 8 teams there. Well, I mean, that make it to the 8. If you still want to, I mean, this is a great recruiting pitch for LSU.
Right.
To be alive at this point of the year. I don't, how do you do it? How 325 days? 325 days? I mean, I do what I love. I love what I do. I can't do it for 325 days. Like, you need a little bit of a reset and a break. I mean, that's weekends. He's working them. I mean, Saban's not working 325 days anymore. He's made it to a point in his career where he says, you want to work for Alabama football? Because if you do work for Alabama football and put it on your resume, odds are you can get just about any gig you want if you succeed here. But if you want it, you're about to work 120 hours a week. I mean, you're going to work 45 weeks of the year. I mean, if I'm 20 to 26, 27, and I don't have a wife, kid, or any other responsibility, I'm a superstar in that model. But as soon as you have other responsibilities around you, I don't know how I just don't know how it's even physically possible. Like, I mean, like, how do you even do it? How do the good ones that do operate this this schedule with spouses, kids, a life, and having to answer to the program, how do you do it? I mean, like, really, like, how are you good at it?
That's what I was going to ask. Like, how do you keep a family together?
Right.
You know?
Well,
I mean,
it's
got to be really tough.
Oh, I mean,
you got to marry the right person.
Well, they're
right?
just even at this point of that, it's changed.
Yeah. It
like
has.
when you went to that person and you got married, or you said, and I'm talking about to a coach that's 10, 15 years in it, right? I mean, it's not somebody that's starting brand new, but whoever's starting brand new has to have their spouse understand, like, I'm never going to be home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, for the next 5 to 10 years until I catch a break and get my head coaching gig and my program, I'm never going to be home. Really? I mean,
some spouses might love that.
Sure. No doubt. But I mean, it's definitely, it's a huge adjustment.
Right. Yeah,
you know
it
what I
is.
mean? It's a huge undertaking as well. I mean, I know people in the trade, just like I'm sure people that are listening know people within the coaching trade, and you can feel it. There is a shift of, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
I mean.
Just got the Lloyd text.
Is he awake?
He's up.
Tell me to send him a
us?
link. We want a video.
Yeah, let's do that. We got to change this Jello shot Omaha thing, because I didn't believe that Ole Miss had 18,000. That's insane. That's like crazy. And they have their stupid little plaque up there that says it permanently. So if LSU beats that record, you change the plaque.
You gotta
I don't know if I hate anything in my life as much as you.
Yeah, you gotta let this Ole
Mississippi
Miss.
State held the record for Jello shots, and then Arkansas took it, and then Ole Miss took that.
You gotta
Y'all,
let it go.
You need therapy around
Why?
that.
You do,
There are
'cause
plenty of LSU fans who hate Alabama.
Not that much.
Yes,
Not
they
this
do.
much,
If they held a Jello shot title, I wouldn't even
Well, let
recognize
me
it.
tell you why. Y'all don't know what an in-state rivalry is like. You have no idea.
Lord.
You don't, right? That's just me stating the fact. Or it's a question. Do you know what that's like?
Sure.
No,
I mean,
no, you don't.
I've
No, you don't.
absolutely seen Catholic High and West Monroe
Oh, come
battle.
on, Jordy. I'm
You know,
talking about
what are we
an
talking about? Is
in-state
this high school
SEC
state championships?
championship. No.
You know what I mean? I guess. I mean,
No, you don't. You don't. Just like you don't know what Alabama-Auburn rivalry is like.
no, I don't. But I mean, I know what the national championship trophy feels like.
Why do y'all? Yeah, you do. Touche. But why do y'all get so mad at me for hating
I
Ole
don't.
Miss
I'm not
so
mad.
much?
I'm not
I'm
mad
more
at you.
concerned.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm coming to you as a friend.
Jordy, I
It's
grew
more
up
like-
this way.
I'm telling you,
I grew
the
up this
hate
way.
that you have
Like, you're mad
for
about
Ole
a plaque.
Miss is unhealthy.
Every friend of mine
That's what I'm
feels the
telling you,
same
like-
way in Mississippi.
Hey,
Like,
and what a sign of an addict to go to the what everybody else does first, rather than own your responsibility.
I mean,
I'm coming at you, Katie. I don't know your friends.
call
I don't,
somebody else that
no.
went to state or Ole Miss.
I don't
and
care
ask
about
them how
anybody
they
else
felt.
that went to state. You're my friend. I'm telling you that the public hate that you have for Ole Miss
It is public.
is concerning as a friend.
Okay.
And that you should seek counsel for it. That's all I'm
Aw.
saying. Just seek therapy. You
I
know
gotta
what I mean?
seek
Talk
therapy
it
for
out.
many other things besides my
Talk
hate
it
of
out.
Ole
So
Miss.
do I. so do I. I'm not the one that should be advising anybody on any therapeutic ways. I'm just telling you that we are friends, and I care about you enough to say that, I mean, the Ole Miss hate.
It's just
You
it's
gotta let it
in
go.
my bones. I
should
grew
be
up
over
that
it.
way, you know. My mom went to Ole Miss. My dad went to state. Like, I grew up with it.
You gotta let that go. You gotta let the hate
Never.
Oh.
Never. It courses through my veins, Stewie.
go. Jeez.
Golly, man.
Not gonna apologize for it.
Awesome.
No,
I didn't want an apology. I just wanted you to,
I just want you
really
to let it go.
recognize it, and
Yeah.
just
I
take the
recognize
necessary
it.
step of just the first one.
I
and
recognize
saying,
it.
Okay, maybe I'll talk
But
more
I
about
mean, I live with somebody who hates Alabama like profusely.
it. Who?
David. Who else?
I mean, he
I
cares that
mean,
much?
He hates Alabama. Hates Alabama.
Like,
Hates
hate, when you say
anything
hate,
to do
like,
with
hates it like you hate Ole Miss?
He wants them to go down, burn in flames. Like he hates elephants.
Sure, I mean, I
like,
think that's probably pretty reasonable for a lot of LSU
Yeah.
fans, but I mean,
no, he doesn't hate
is
it
it
like I hate Ole Miss, but he
psychopathic like
doesn't.
you?
He doesn't
Okay.
know that he doesn't get that rivalry. We talked about it last night. He just doesn't get the first when they opened up the SEC show with the new what am I trying to say? The 2024 scheduling. They opened up the show with here's the one game that will not be affected, the Egg Bowl. Nobody's touching it.
Yeah.
They did. I mean, it's a real thing. No, I do feel like an addict because I feel like I'm trying to convince you. I'm selling to you now. Jordy, please just take this.
So they didn't take the state title game away from Mississippi. The one game we did preserve was the 5A state championship between Mississippi State and Ole Miss in the state of Mississippi.
I can't. The state would just burn alive. I can't even imagine what people would do if they took that game.
David Reed says, "I guess it's like Jordy's hate for Les Miles." I guess so.
There you go. There you go.
It is unhealthy.
That is. Thank you, David Reed.
It is.
That is a great comparison.
It is unhealthy.
Yay! It's
We
Lloyd.
got the man, the myth, the legend.
Take the heat off of me. Bring Lloyd in.
Katie's going through with
I'm
this
just
Mississippi
going
State
on Ole
thing,
Miss
Lloyd.
rant again. I don't know how I got here.
Jello shots.
That's right.
I mean,
That's right.
Nothing.
Nothing. It was that plaque.
Nothing.
It was seeing that Ole Miss plaque.
I mean, 2
Damn
years
it.
ago, the Jello shots. Lloyd, you look like you've slept. That's disappointing.
No, that's contrary to popular belief, Jordy. I have not.
Yeah, thank you. Good job. Thank you. All right. There.
Made a double trip. I got to go to Ames, Iowa, or Des Moines, Iowa, twice.
So how was the drive?
Oh, gorgeous! You couldn't see a better part of the country.
Kansas. Are y'all out of drugs?
We're out. I'm about to show you. We got a whole cocktail up here.
What time zone are you in? Do you know?
This guy. Paraphernalia on live.
That's just my schedule.
We're gonna get flagged now.
No, we won't. It's okay.
Do you know what time it is, Lloyd?
It is 8:39 here in beautiful Omaha, Nebraska.
Right.
How long did the drive take?
It was supposed to be a smooth 12, turned into a long 20.
Did you log any windshield time? Did you get any driver time?
No, I took myself out the game early with
Wow,
the 5 a.m.
20 hours.
cruise. I have a great co-pilot, coach. So what happened was we got to Omaha about 6:30, 8 maybe-ish, and then we had a downed road dog. He got stuck.
Oh no!
In Des Moines, Iowa, his flight got delayed out of New Orleans, so he misses connecting in Denver. He hops on a connecting from Denver to Iowa, and so as soon as we touch down at the powerhouse, we're calling it, we have to get back in the car and go get him 2 hours back to Des Moines. What I just saw, nothing there, just a bunch of corn and deer.
Sure.
And we got to the point where we're saying spot the deer, which is a game that I'm new to, not great at it. So we get back in the car at 11:30 p.m., drive to Iowa again, pick up my buddy and 3 unknown Tiger fans. They hop in the car. We drive 2 hours back to Omaha and then drop them off at their hotel. He dropped an Alvin Risher on me.
Wow.
And I go, the Slidell Slinger?
The Slinger.
And he goes, how do you know? And I was like, dang, it's been a time or two on the old sports note. And so we had a time and a half talking to him, got everybody to their destination, and then made it back at about 3 a.m. this morning. So woke up to 2 missed calls and about 55 text messages. So we're all good.
Have you contributed to any of the Jello shots?
I need you to get on that. I'll Venmo you.
Okay, perfect. We need about 100.
You know, you need way more than that.
$500, a lot of it going to charity, the charity of Lloyd.
So what's on tap today? We doing the games?
We're going to play a little golf here. We got a 20-man scramble broken up into 5 teams of 4. And I think I did some goodwill last night, so I'm hoping to catch a couple strokes. Not a lot of sleep. So we're going to power up here in a second. You know, it's more of the live golf world where it's golf but louder. I don't think there's a lot of PED testing, so I think I'm going to be all right on that front.
So wait, 20? You got 20 under one roof?
We got 20 under one roof. Look, we can go see them right now.
How
They're
many
cooking
bedrooms?
breakfast. We got the whole, I'll give you all the tour. It's a nice little spot. I don't know how we swung it.
This is an Airbnb?
This is an Airbnb, and I think we may have fudged
In Omaha?
the records because in Omaha.
It looks huge.
We got,
Hey.
we got a whole group.
Damn, that place is enormous.
Oh my gosh, it is huge. He's yelling so loud the sound.
You got audio problems, you degenerate.
Back on the song.
Wow, great stash.
So, We got a whole family under one roof.
I
Right
like
in the
it.
kitchen.
God, dog.
That's an
dude.
awesome house, Lloyd.
Look at that spot.
How much
Oh,
fun?
yeah, they're big Nebraska people.
Oh.
I went to their YouTube last night, to queue up a little bit of something so I could go to sleep, and it's just Nebraska glory days, Nebraska black shirts, Nebraska corn husk shirts. And I was
The
like,
80s.
This guy is going through it.
All right, Lloyd, enjoy it, bro. I'm glad you made it.
Later, boys. Go Tigers.
Bye.
Do Jello shots for Katie for
Please
God's
do
sake.
Jello shots for me.
For tomorrow?
Christ. What's that?
I heard all of that.
Yeah,
Well-
they're talking about me. They're mad at me. They're
Yeah.
not Jesus Christ in you. It's about the Jello
I
shots.
need to find Jesus.
Yeah,
send me that 100. We'll be all
I
square.
will. Get to Rocco's.
All right, Lloyd, be an asshole.
Never be one.
Later.
Later.
There's Lloyd checking in from the Midwest.
You look for the reflection in the deer's eyeballs. That's how you spot them.
Oh, yeah. Right. At
It's
night,
fun.
though.
At night. Yeah.
He's still on there.
So, Katie.
Just hanging out.
Yes.
Get that
Jordy.
done for us
Still talking, too.
by the
I
weekend.
mean, I can't buy 19,000 Jello shots, but I'll contribute a little to Lloyd. I need some help. Should we start a GoFundMe? Y'all should want this. Y'all should want the plaque in there, right? You should want to take over at Ole Miss.
No.
This man.
Y'all don't care about the Jello shot plaque?
Still in there.
It's
I
still
didn't
there.
even see the plaque. I didn't know there was one.
Me either.
Yeah, there is. You haven't seen it on social media? It's hanging above the
I've seen the
whiteboard.
whiteboard, but I guess I didn't
It's
look
right
around.
above it.
No, let me look. Let me look at this.
Damn it.
I haven't looked around.
Idiot.
It's right there.
Not that big of a deal.
David showed it to me this morning, so I
Oof.
left angry. I left the house
Golly.
angry. I was like, that's not real.
Take this
He was
way
just sit there showing it to
Take this
me.
way too seriously, Kate.
Take them out.
Hit that like button, share button, comment button. Thanks for being here. Don't forget, mic'd up from Omaha.
Yes.
Today?
Lloyd, are you still there?
Is he still there?
No, it's
Oh,
going
I
to
see
be
the
tomorrow, but he
Mic'd up
he
from
has to
Omaha
get
today?
some
You
rest.
bums?
He has to get some rest.
No, it's on Sunday. It's on Sunday.
All right, but you
Father's
got to get
Day.
it straight, Lloyd.
A little hold
Make
the
sure
rope
everything's
action
right.
/ mic'd up,
Jesus.
huh?
Now
Ugh.
that one was aimed at you.
I need you to sleep.
Don't screw that up, Lloyd.
Oh, that's not gonna happen.
Don't
I
screw
think
it
I'm
up.
taking Tuesday off.
Don't screw it up. All right, we'll be back with you Monday. Make sure and tune into Mic'd Up coming up at 8:45 or coming up at Sunday for Father's Day. Like, share, comment. Make sure and subscribe. We'll talk to you on Monday morning.